Hi, my name is Jim, and I'm a gunsmith. The name of my shop is Gunworks, located in Harrington, Maine, down east. Today's revolver we're going to disassemble for good cleaning is a Colt New Service Army revolver. Actually, this was marked with Navy markings on it. These pistols were made from 1898 to 1944. There was 356,000 of these guns during their entire 46 years in production. Now we're going to disassemble this for cleaning. This is one of Colt's earlier double action. Their first double action revolver was the 1877 Thunder or the Lightning, depending on the caliber. This is going to be a little bit different than later revolvers, as it's got the side plate for disassembly on the right hand side versus on the left hand side. So before we get started, just like everything else, we're going to open the gun up and make sure it's empty, because you don't want any accidental discharges. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the grips. These are hard rubber grips that were made out of gutta percha until 1928. These were standard. Now after that they went with the walnut wood. Now, like I said, with some of these other older antique handguns with these hard rubber grips, you want to be careful removing them from the gun, because they're going to be pretty hard to replace. So if you crack one or chip one, you could check Vintage Gun Grips. They have some new made plastic that are going to look like this, but you want to try to preserve the original parts as much as you can. And the next thing I like to do before I get into it, if you'll notice right over here, you have a little screw and a little pin. Colt uses that to hold the cylinders in place. Get a different screwdriver here. Sometimes these old guns will have a lot of dirt and trash in the screw slots, so let's take a pick and dig that dirt and trash out. Now with these Colt guns, when you take this screw out, this screw captivates this little pin. So I'm going to hold the gun up sideways to remove this. And once you have that screw and that little retainer pin, the next thing you'll want to do is remove the cylinder. Pull back on the catch. Now since this has the short flutes, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Push back on the ejector rod and hold it, and as you're pulling it out, you'll notice the cylinder itself slides back. So remove that, we'll set that to the side. Turn the gun over. We're going to remove the side plate. Now, unlike some of the later guns, these earlier Colts do not have a rebound lever. Now, what I mean by rebound lever, if you want to refer to the Gunworks website, you'll see a Colt Detective Special being reassembled. It's a pictorial. In other words, I've got pictures that shows you how that thing goes back together. You'll notice the internal differences between these early double action Colts and the later ones. Now, sometimes you can get away with just prying up on the back of the plate just a little bit. Most of the time, though, on a Colt double action revolver, you want to take a plastic mallet and strike back here so that you don't break the side plate by trying to pry up on it. We'll see if this one will come up. There we go. And here's the side plate. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a screwdriver to loosen this string screw so we can get this mainspring off. We'll get the tension off of it here. Normally I don't advocate refinishing a gun, but this one was cheap enough and it's in pretty rough shape. Been beat a little bit, so what we're going to do is take this gun apart and we're going to go through it and clean it really well, and then we're going to re-blue it. So now we're going to remove the mainspring from the hammer. That mainspring, there's just a couple of little hooks like a little stirrup. Fits on the back of that little T-bar on the back of the hammer. While we're here, let's go ahead and pull that revolver hand out of the way. Set that off to the side. Now, I don't want to put too much undue pressure on the trigger return spring, so I'm going to hold that back. I'm going to lift the hammer up and out of the way. What we'll do is we'll use a pair of needle nose pliers or something here to compress the trigger return spring. Move it down and out of the way. And just put a hook under here and we'll lift this little piece here out. Then we'll remove the bolt stop. This gun probably hadn't been apart since it left the factory. It's pretty rusty in there. It's going to be a little bit tricky to get all the parts out of it. There's our bolt stop. Now we can take the trigger out. Come on, sweetie. So after we've got the trigger removed, then the last part we're going to worry about is getting this cylinder latch off. There'll be a screw right inside here. We'll remove that screw. And there's the part that works the cylinder latch. Now, in order to remove your cylinder latch, you're going to need a really thin pin. This one I actually made out of a heavy-duty paper clip. You'll notice on the side right here there's a little tiny hole. So what you have to do is you have to push back on the cylinder latch, push that pin in, holding the cylinder latch back, drive the retaining pin out the other side. Very small pin. Now it should come right out the front. Now after we've got the cylinder latch out, the last little part we're going to remove, we're going to need to get this trigger return spring out. So there's going to be a little pin that you drive out right there. That little pin is what holds your spring in. This is your trigger return spring. And here's a Colt double action new service revolver, completely disassembled for a good cleaning. And in this case, it's going to get a refinish job because unfortunately it's in rough shape. There's going to be some metal work involved. Somebody in the past has clamped this thing in a vise and has beat on it and chewed on it pretty bad. Normally I wouldn't advise refinishing a gun like this because it ruins the resale value, but in this case, this gun was definitely abused. I picked it up to use it for a nice little old shooter. Thank you for watching this latest Gunworks video. Down East Gunworks is a full-service firearm repair service for all your long guns and handguns that includes a high-tech machine shop for tooling obsolete parts. Old or new, if you have a firearm that needs attention, Gunworks can probably fix it, solve it, coat it, and make it work. If you're living in Down East Maine, come by the shop for a visit. We're located on Route 1 in Harrington. If you live elsewhere, you can reach us by going to the website www.downeastgunworks.com or call in the shop at area code 207-483-2175. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please leave me a comment and rate the video. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll always know when I've posted something new. And thanks again for watching.